We've all been waiting for this day. Finally, the Ripple v. SEC trial is drawing to a close. What does that signify, do you know? Yes, there has been a significant increase in the price of XRP. All of the leading crypto professionals are currently discussing that topic. Furthermore, their forecasts are quite astounding. Some predictions indicate that XRP's price may rise to 11,898. This isn't a joke either. These are accurate forecasts derived on professional study and market trends. Let's be clear about this. This is a video you won't want to miss. So let's get right to the topic without any further ado. It appears that the protracted legal dispute between the SEC and Ripple Labs is finally coming to a close. And not just with a whine, but with a ruling that might change how XRP and digital asset regulation are governed in the future. Both parties have filed a joint motion indicating a desire to reach a settlement after more than 4 years of legal sparring. The motion is a well-crafted attempt to settle a dispute that has clouded Ripple and XRP since December 2020. It is not merely a procedural step. This motion's main goal is to lift the long-standing ban on institutional sales of XRP. If approved, Ripple would once again be able to interact openly with institutional partners, opening up the market segment that has been closed off because of court-imposed limitations. However, this goes beyond simply allowing Ripple to sell XRP once more. It also involves reviving confidence in a digital asset that has been marginalized despite winning multiple significant court cases challenging the SEC's allegations. A suggested reallocation of monetary penalties is also described in the motion. The agreement calls for $50 million to be paid to the SEC and $75 million to be returned to Ripple. Not only is the change in the penalty structure noteworthy in terms of the numbers, but it also represents a shift away from punishment and towards settlement. The SEC, which has generally taken a far more tough position against crypto businesses, is showing a rare moment of reasonableness. Bitcoin reactions erupted on Twitter instantly. Bull Run Wonka tweeted, "SEC versus Ripple settlement on the horizon," expressing what many people think is inevitable. Another tweet from Steven added, "A major breakthrough in the SEC versus Ripple case today. The case will end anytime," quoting attorney Bill Morgan. Today is the anticipated Ripple SEC ruling. Huge institutional inflows into XRP could result from a victory. Renowned legal analyst and XRP enthusiast Bill Morgan emphasized the motion's maybe most important component, the desire to change Judge Annalisa Torres's final decision. Morgan asserts that this is the legal foundation of the proposed agreement and not only a formality. The standard is high. The court must be persuaded that extraordinary circumstances exist to support such a modification. Unless there is a very good reason, courts rarely change their final decisions. Additionally, there is no assurance that this joint petition will be accepted, given that one was rejected earlier this year. Nevertheless, optimism is still high. The motion has a 70% probability of being approved, according to attorney John Deaton, who represents more than 75,000 XRP investors. In that case, XRP might finally take the stage and Ripple might return to its wider market operations. Not only as a speculative asset, but also as a valid layer of institutional finance infrastructure. Additionally, other blockchain projects under pressure would receive a strong message from the permission. It is feasible to resolve the issue and gain regulatory clarity. However, if the application is denied by the court, there would be more holdups, uncertainty, and a prolonged pause in the institutional adoption of XRP. There are significant market ramifications. This lawsuit has been viewed as a litmus test for the way U.S. regulators apply securities rules to the cryptocurrency industry. A successful verdict for Ripple would put the SEC's existing enforcement strategy to the test and change the way that crypto issues are handled going forward. This feels like a turning point for the entire sector, which has been longing for transparent, equitable regulation, not just for holders of XRP or Ripple. With the court's impending ruling, innovation may no longer have to live in constant fear of legal action, ushering in a new era. The cryptocurrency community waits till then, hoping that the last leg of this protracted legal marathon is drawing near. Indeed, analysts are forecasting crazily high growth and expectation of Ripple's triumph. I assure you that this is the largest object we have ever seen. In addition to being a legal victory, Judge Torres's approval of this motion will provide institutional investors permission to pour money into XRP. This signal might turn out to be the most bullish in the history of cryptocurrency. They laughed at Noah until it began to rain, according to a widely shared tweet. Now they're making fun of XRP. Permit them. The arc is nearly finished. Language like that conveys more than just hope. It's about having a strong faith in a project that has withstood years of doubt, legal disputes, and market turmoil. It's the height of the emotional energy. Steph said that XRP is poised to take up, much like Bitcoin did. Additionally, there are a lot of extremely high goals when browsing through cryptocurrency Twitter. Crypto Sensei says $10,000 in XRP. Brett goes one step further. XRP might reach 11,898. Then there is Barry C's widely shared tweet, which states that $2 to 1,000 will occur far sooner than most people think. However, some people are still doubtful. I'm a huge fan of XRP, but how does $1,000 make sense? Said one user, XRP Amok. Tell me your reasoning. They noted that XRP would be closer to $35 rather than $1,000 if it were to attain the market capitalization of Bitcoin. The $1,000 XRP concept was dubbed a unicorn dream. Dreams, however, die hard. Despite detractors like Robert Smith claiming that these price forecasts are myths rather than mathematical calculations, the XRP community remains strong. He wrote, "This hasn't gone anywhere near it since XRP came around." In reality, $1,000 would be equivalent to trillions of dollars in market value, amounts that would appear unattainable without a drastically altered financial structure. However, that is precisely what the proponents of XRP are counting on. They are not interested in making fast deals. In their ideal future, XRP would power tokenized assets, smart contracts, cross-border payments, and possibly central bank activities. Additionally, institutions may finally stop considering XRP a legal risk and begin to regard it as a valid financial tool if the limits imposed by this joint motion are lifted. Demand might be entirely reshaped by such change. Therefore, as Dark Defender stated, XRP melting faces isn't just hype. Rather, it's a belief that has been suppressed for too long. Will XRP reach $100, $1,000, or $10,000 in practice? Such prices necessitate exceptional situations. However, the optimism extends beyond the figures. After years of ridicule, it's about being validated. Even the doubters might have to concede that the arc isn't just complete. It's actually setting sail if Ripple prevails in this case. Let's now discuss the revolutionary alliances influencing XRP's future. Through its University Blockchain Research Initiative, or UBRI, Ripple is expanding into Asia, indicating a daring plan to promote XRP usage worldwide. With XRP at its center, Ripple is establishing the groundwork for the development of next-generation blockchain technology with over $5 million funded across 13 institutions in Asia-Pacific and more than 60 universities globally. Asia has a perfect terrain. Tech-savvy and cryptocurrency-friendly nations include South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, and Australia. Tokenizing real-world assets on the XRP ledger through a donation to Taiwan's National Kaohsiung University demonstrates Ripple's aspirations for the real world. The demand for XRP may increase if assets like intellectual property